Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of True Say with CBJ, and I am your host, Cherno. On this episode, I had a conversation with Fatou Senghore, an amazing and dedicated female cybersecurity expert making waves in the Gambia's tech industry. With her expertise and passion, she had the honor of representing the Gambia at the One Young World Summit in Northern Ireland. She was also selected as a key member of the Global Youth Council under the Interaction Council, where she collaborates with young leaders worldwide to address global existential threats. Now, as a cybersecurity expert, Fatou and I delve into the complex world of cybersecurity during our conversation. We explore the psychological motivation driving hackers and the crucial need to empower young women through cybersecurity education. Fatou's advocacy for women's cybersecurity education is both inspiring and transformative. So, join us as we delve into the realms of cybersecurity and discover the incredible work Fatou is doing to empower the next generation, particularly young women in the world of technology. And if you love listening to my podcast, please subscribe and share it with your loved ones so that we can all be inspired. Thank you and goodbye. Enjoy the episode. All right. 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, Fatou Senghore. Fatou, it's a pleasure to have you on the show. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah. How are you feeling? You told me you had a headache earlier, 30 minutes before we start. How do you feel
Yeah.
now?
Yes, it's much better. I drank some paracetamol and that has helped ease the pain. So I'm much
Yeah.
better now.
Yeah. That's great. That's great. Welcome to the podcast. I mean, we started and still like we're having some little bit technical difficulties, but I'm sure that we will sort that out also. But first of all, I just want to say congratulations on all your achievements because this is the first time we're talking. By the way, this is the first time we're actually seeing each other, and
Yeah.
I discovered you on a Gambian Instagram page. I think one of those Gambian most hilarious posted your image there, and then I read it, and I was just like so impressed with your achievement and all of that, and what you stand for. You know, a woman being in STEM and all of those things, especially in a field where it's male dominated most of the time. And I thought that it was just really inspiring, and I thought it would have been just so cool just to, just to have you on the podcast and talk to you. You know what I mean? So that's the reason why I wanted to have you on the podcast.
Yeah, thank you very much for inviting me. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a pleasure. I'm always excited to share my journey because you
Mm,
never know who you will inspire. Because I've got a
mm,
lot of reactions when I was
mm,
posted by Gambia was hilarious, and people
mm,
have been reaching out to me, asking
mm.
me to be their mentors and asking me for career advices,
Wow.
which is a pleasure. So yeah.
How does that feel? How does that responsibility feel that people are actually reaching out? Yeah, because feel like you've been in
Well,
the game for a long time, and now you're getting that attention, right? Because when I read when I was doing a research on you, I went to your LinkedIn and I stuff, and I saw everything that you've worked, where you work, and I'm like, wow, like she's been doing this for a long time. Like, why is she being discovered now? So how does that
yes.
feel?
Well, it feels great because when I was like throughout my career, like I've always been alone on this journey.
Mm-hmm.
Like there are not much women on the like on the area to look up to.
Mm-hmm.
So this is why, like in a situation where like you're in a career with which is male dominated, I
Mm-hmm.
feel the need to give back to my community. So
Mm-hmm.
to inspire other young women, because it
Mm-hmm.
shows that in the Gambia majority of people are passionate about education. They're passionate about keeping themselves up to date. But
Mm-hmm.
the problem is most of them don't have the opportunities and they don't have people to guide them. So
True,
yeah.
true. That's fascinating. And recently, of course, you were in. I think, if I'm not wrong, in the One Young World, like the summit, and you were representing your country on a global stage. Like that must have been really really awesome. Like, can you take me into that moment on like how did that happen and how you felt?
Well, I'll start by saying the power of LinkedIn. Like they said, your
Yeah.
network is your
Mm,
net worth. So LinkedIn has really changed my life in many ways. This is
mm,
why I always keep it up to date. So
mm,
one of the one young world recruiters reached out to me on LinkedIn and asked me if I would be interested to
Mm,
participate at the One Young World Summit. Like I've been saying One Young World, but I've never thought about applying. So when this lady reached out to me and I just showcased my interest, and she sent me the link and I applied. That was how I got selected.
mm,
So this is a summit that hosts like it select people from more than 190 countries globally.
mm,
So it's a summit where we discuss global issues like climate change and
mm,
emergencies, addressing poverty and inequality,
mm,
and illegal migrations, technology and innovation, etc. So this summit usually hosts politicians from around the world. Like the Queen of Jordan was even invited,
mm,
and I had the opportunity to meet the former Prime Minister of Ireland and the former President of Colombia. So it
mm.
hosts more than 250 organizations globally,
Wow.
where we all sit together and discuss how to address global existential threats, because we all
Mm,
have a role to play in one way or the other. So yes, it
okay.
was a very exciting summit, and I was
Mm,
fortunate to represent the Gambia out
yeah.
there, which feels exciting because it celebrates the country's name. Because when you talk to people, when you tell them you're from Gambia, they're like, "Where is the Gambia?" They wouldn't know, so they will have to Google to check the map where
Mm,
the Gambia is located. But this has given me the opportunity to sell the country's name, because even the outfit I wore when during the flag hosting ceremony, like it has attracted a lot of people coming to ask me about the culture, etc., which feels nice.
that's nice. That's nice. I mean, I'm proud that you're representing us because I love seeing those things. I've never like I was born and I was raised in Senegal, but I always been in Gambia. My family lives in Gambia, but I never ever had that opportunity to be representing my country at some sort of a stage. So when I see people do it, because I really love my country and I'm proud of it, and it's very inspiring, especially for the youth, for the young people who are growing up, because we're living in such a society now where there's a lot of distractions, you know what I mean? And for people like you pushing those boundaries to try to represent us, where the young people are watching also online, I think it's beautiful and it's very inspiring.
Yeah.
That's great. I'm so happy for you. I'm so happy for you.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah. So,
I've had the opportunity to represent the Gambia in different forums. Like
okay.
I used to be very active when it comes to civil
Hmm.
society engagement and these
Mm,
activities. I used to be very, very active. It's something
yeah.
that I don't joke with, because you never know whom you meet that will change your life. So yeah.
That's true. That's true. That's true. Now, I want to get into deeper later about your work and what you do because but before we do that, I want to just get to know you a little bit more because this is the first time we're talking. So to understand how you get to where you get, I want to kind of get an early context, an early understanding of your upbringing, like how were you like in your house when you were growing up? What were some of the memories and experiences, that led you to where you are today? If you could recall some of those memories and experiences. Yeah.
Well, yes, I grew up in a very strict household,
Mm.
like, and in a household that is full of academicians.
Okay.
So being the firstborn, my dad has taught me how to be responsible, how to be a leader, how to be a role model to the society. In my house, there were no gender roles. My dad is an academic. He believed in education. So he invested in our education. Like throughout my schooling in the Gambia, I've always been in private school until I got to senior secondary school. Because I was in love with Nusrat, that was when I went to public school.
Mhm.
But yeah, like throughout my life growing up, it's always school, data.
Mhm.
I was never given chance for any idleness.
Mhm.
If I'm not in school, I will be in data. So I've been this focus type, and that has really contributed to where I am today. So I always wanted to be a lawyer growing up,
Okay.
and this has led me to go into the art stream
Mhm.
when I started high school. But
Mhm.
again, like I was doing this technology course,
Mhm.
and like I realized how technology is rapidly evolving. And
Mm-hmm.
I used to do very well in tech. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'll like my technology, my IT teacher, Mr. Fall, was very helpful
Mm-hmm.
in my journey. Like, he used to expose me to a lot of things. And when I finished high school, I learned about cybersecurity from my principal, from my high school principal, Mr. Boja. He was the first person to tell me about cybersecurity. Like he told me, you know what, Fatu, hence you're very good in IT. I guess you should study cybersecurity. And I
Okay.
started researching about cybersecurity. So I fall in love with it and I wanted to do it at bachelor's level. But because it is not offered in the Gambia, and back then I didn't have the opportunity to go abroad to pursue my undergrad,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, let me just do a computer science degree. And eventually when I finish, I'll try to find scholarship to go abroad and do my master's in cybersecurity. So this is how my journey started, and I got enrolled at the American International University in a bachelor's degree in computer science,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, it was a very exciting field, and it takes a lot of time and pressure because it's more about self learning
Mm-hmm.
because you need to keep yourself on top of the game. You
Mm-hmm.
need to be ahead of time because every day new things are evolving in technology.
True.
So you need to be researching, you need to keep yourself up to date. So it takes a lot of time
Mm-hmm.
and it requires passion and determination because I have seen a lot of students dropping out of the course in their first year
Mm-hmm.
because you will have to face like programming courses which are very very like
Mm-hmm.
kind of difficult, but me, I used to connect with like-minded individuals. I have two male friends that I was very close with because
Mm.
it's a male dominated area,
Of
and they
course.
were very programmers and they were very helpful. I used to go to their houses until late night just to do assignment.
Okay.
So yeah, everything that I've been through, like I was always determined to succeed. I was always passionate, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so
Yeah,
that's how.
there's a lot of things to unravel there, especially when it comes to growing up, like you said, in a house that was a very strict home. Balancing between school and data. Like, did you used to go to data? Like, and for people who are listening who don't know data, it's like boarding school, running boarding. I went to data full time. I did not go to school, so that's a
Okay.
different situation for me. But did you used to go afternoon datas, or did you used to like? Yeah,
Yes.
so it was afternoon
So
datas. Mm,
So I'll break it down.
mm,
Like from 7 o'clock, I'll be
mm,
in school
mm,
and I close school at 2 o'clock and I'll have to stay for studies until 4 o'clock. I attended those, by the way, from nursery to grade nine, those, which was a
mm,
private school. So from 7 o'clock to 4, I will be in school and then my dad will come and collect me from school. And I'll be home around 5 o'clock. I'll eat lunch. So after eating lunch and everything, I am forced to go to data like from 7 to 10 o'clock, like data goody,
wow.
night Quranic lessons. So weekends,
Mm,
data,
mm.
like
So there was no playing. There was no
no
having time for
playing,
fun.
no going for
Yeah.
holidays. And I used to live in the middle of Latikuna Jamal, opposite the West Park, which is very, very
Oh. Mm,
distractive, a lot of
mm,
programs, a lot of events, and the neighborhood was fun. Like, people are always
mm,
enjoying,
mm,
partying. But my dad was very strict with me. If it is not data, I will be in school. If it is not school, I will be having meetings in my extracurricular activities like my civil society engagement. So I never had the chance
mm.
to for any idleness.
How does he feel now when he sees you, especially standing in that stage in the one young world? Is he very proud of you now?
Yes, he is very proud of me and
Mm,
he always brags about me. Even in his office, like when I graduated,
mm,
my graduation pictures, he had to put them like in his office. And anyone that comes in, he'll tell you, oh, she's my first daughter.
yeah,
He is very, very proud of me. And yeah, so he always give me advices and he's my role model actually,
yeah.
and
Mm,
always guide me. This is why I will not do anything without his approval, without his permission or
mm,
his guidance. And growing up too,
mm.
like he will always seek advice from me, whenever
Wow.
he has to do something, even though I was so young. This is why I became matured early. And people used to tell me, Danga boy mago, meaning
Yeah,
you are older than your age, something like
yeah.
that.
Mm.
because I used to be engaged on things like, he will ask for my advices. I used to guide my siblings. I used to stand up for them. And yeah, so the society has forced me to be who
Yeah.
I am today.
I think that's very beautiful because for me, example, growing up, I didn't really have that. I grew up in a strict home, but it was most of the time where I had to learn. For me, it was the other way around. Like I had to go to data, I had to memorize the Quran, which I did all those things. So I didn't get to the school part, and of course, like one of the things that were missing was teaching you to become a leader. You know what I mean? And having to ask the child also questions about, like you said, advices and all those things, because that makes the child very grow. And I think that's such an amazing thing. And in a lot of African homes, that's what we're actually missing. So I think you're very lucky to been have a father like that. Big ups to him. Big ups to him for sure.
Yes, thank you.
How is it also dealing with your siblings? Like, how many siblings do you have? Like, are they all in your area, or are they all like in different places?
Yeah, so I grew up in an extended family. My dad
Okay.
has two wives, and in
Mm,
my stepmoms, I have five siblings,
okay.
and in my mom's, I have four siblings. So basically, they're really proud of me. They look up to me for everything, and
That's
I
good.
made sure that we have these friendly relations. Although I am more like my dad, I'm kind of strict, but
Mm,
again, I had to put this collaboration, this rapport, so that they can talk to me about anything,
mhm,
and I always guide them to the right path. And I always try to make sure that,
mhm.
like the saying, when the head is intoxicated, the entire body is affected. So I tried as much as possible not for them to see me in such a way that will like implicate their future. So yeah, they are very, very proud of me, and they
That's
always celebrate my achievements, and also they are following my footsteps, like, you know
yeah.
very ambitious, trying to concentrate on their education. I have one who is currently doing bachelor's in electrical engineering, and the other one is doing her bachelor's in media and communication. The other one just started her bachelor's in international trade and business. So they are following my career path,
That's
which is
amazing.
good.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Keep it up. Keep doing that, because we need people like you to, like I said earlier, like we're living in such a distracting generation, and you need, people like people who are ready to show them how to do things. You know what I mean? To keep them in the right path. You know.
Yes.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Now, obviously, then now you got into cybersecurity, right? And
Yeah.
like, why cybersecurity in the first place? Like, why cybersecurity?
Well, because technology is rapidly evolving, and
Mm,
nowadays we use technology for everything. So, in order to use these technologies to
mm,
do our day to day transactions, we need the
mm,
security part of it.
mm,
Hackers are now out there trying to upgrade themselves using the latest tactics to attack businesses, to attack individuals,
mm,
you know, trying to extort confidential data, trying to extort money.
mm,
So it's a lot of things. And I believe that with the current trend nowadays, it is important to integrate cybersecurity as a course at the grassroots level. I never knew what cybersecurity was until I get to high school. So
mm.
this should be a course that should be introduced at basic secondary level.
True.
Like kids are now using technology. Like you have you they're using smartphones for everything. And because parents nowadays are very busy, like
Mm,
they will not be in a situation to monitor the activities that their kids do when it comes to using smartphones. So this is why a lot of our kids have become victim of sextortion. A lot
mm,
of them have become victim of cyberbullying, and a lot of them have become victims of social engineering attacks,
mm, mm.
like them talking to strangers, telling them, giving them some information that you wouldn't know. I mean, it is important to guide them how to
Yeah,
use these devices. So this
yeah.
is why I decided to
To
take
get
it
into
up as a career,
cybersecurity.
because
Yeah.
it is
So
the present and the future.
that's
It
true. That's
continues.
true. That's true. Like, which year was this when you actually, like you said, your principal is the one that introduced you to cybersecurity, right? So, like,
Yes.
how long ago was this? What year was this?
Yes, this was 2014. That was when
Okay.
I just nearly finished high school. Like I finished high
Mm.
school in 2014. And I
Okay.
remember when I started my undergrad in 2015, like my first course on computer science, which is research
Mm.
methodology. I
Mhm.
always centered my research topics on cybersecurity, and my fellow colleagues used to laugh at me because this was something strange to them. They've never heard about it. So when I
Mhm.
start talking about cybersecurity threats and challenges like cyberbullying, cyber terrorism, they start laughing when I'm doing the presentation
I would have
because
laughed too, because
yes,
yeah, I think I now obviously I would want you to try to explain to me for exact like the whole what cybersecurity is. But at that time, I remember 2014. I didn't even know a lot about anything, especially when it comes to technology. You just have your phone and you're walking around thinking everything is fine. And the funny thing is, just yesterday, my cousin got hacked on her phone, and we have a family group, and one of my cousin Nene Sala actually texted and said, she's our cousin has been hacked. And then she texted one of our other cousin, the hacker, asking for 700 pounds to be texted. But she already figured out that this was actually not our cousin that was texting. So like it was kind of a coincidence. I was like, oh, I'm talking to a cybersecurity expert tomorrow. My cousin got hacked yesterday. So it was a funny situation. But yeah, at that time I wouldn't even know what cybersecurity was. Like I would have laughed at it probably, if you would said, especially in Gambia, because people that get into STEM most of the time, right? I'm sure they get into fields like medicine or engineering and like and all these other things. But even when you study computer science, maybe they just get into the IT part of it or the coding part, but not into
yeah,
cybersecurity, because Gambia seems like we're not dealing with that. But I'm sure there's a lot of things that we deal with that you probably must know a lot of the things that we deal
yes.
with in Gambia also.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
the problem is like
Mm.
people think that we don't need cybersecurity and we're not dealing with, but unfortunately, it's the other way around. You
Mm.
know, like hackers target countries like Gambia where the cyberspace is not monitored, where people don't care about cybersecurity.
Makes
Where
sense.
access control is not implemented. So
Mm.
it is important for countries like the Gambia to come up, because it's more like a reactive approach instead of being proactive.
Mhm.
When you want to deal with cyber attacks, you need to
Mhm.
be ahead of the attacker, a step ahead of the attacker. You need to implement security architecture systems that will be able to segregate your data in such a way that data will not be penetrated. You need to do some periodic penetration testing and vulnerability assessment. You need to be the one to do the attacks to see what are the repercussions. You need to do risk management. So all these things are important to protect our critical infrastructure. So if all of them are not protected, and if a small country like the Gambia get hacked, I mean, we're doomed. We're doomed. Yeah.
And
So
the way you said it sounds like it's a lot of psychological thinking. You know what I mean? Because like first of all, before we get into the hackers part, I want you to explain for people who don't understand cybersecurity, like what is cybersecurity in the most simplest term. Can you explain it?
yeah, cybersecurity is a procedure and
Mm.
means of protecting electronic information that are sitting on electronic devices.
Hmm.
So basically,
Yeah.
I'll define it. It's about just like I'll give it in a layman's perspective.
Hmm.
When when you go to a home, it
Hmm.
has like it is surrounded by a fence. Like
Hmm.
you have the gate.
Hmm.
All these things are layers of security, right?
Yes.
And before you get to bed, you close your door to make sure that you are secured from thieves.
Hmm.
This is how cybersecurity works.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
and if I want to close my door from my phone at night, like how does one go by doing that? How, like,
Okay.
for example, even with the basics of telephone or computer, because like, for example, when I finish, I just close my computer. I don't even turn it off.
Yes.
Like how does one get protected with that?
So that is very, very bad. First,
Mm.
you need to implement the first layer of security, that is having your password protected. And this password should be alphanumeric, should be mixed, should be difficult to guess. You should not use your partner's name or like something that you like because these are things that can be easily guessed, because sometimes there is this terminology called brute forcing attack, where the hacker will keep guessing until they get access to whatever
Mhm.
device they want to target. So it
Wow.
is important to put a strong password on any device that you're using. And you should also keep changing the password, which is recommended for at least 3 months. I
Mhm.
know you may not be good in remembering password. Like
Mm.
I never remember my password.
Yeah,
But what I
forget
do,
password all the time.
yes. So what I do, any password that I have, I make sure that I write it somewhere safe, somewhere that maybe I am the only one who can access it. So that in case I forgot, I can just go back to the diary and check that password and change
Mm.
it. So this is the first
Yeah.
step. The second step, like awareness is important. Like sometimes they use social engineering techniques. They can
Mm.
send you a link. Oh, if you click this, you will win this. Oh, like even last week, someone on Instagram reached out to me. Oh, we've seen your page and we want you to be our brand ambassador. Blah blah
Yeah.
blah. Click this. I never fall for those. Even
Mm.
my friends, if you send me the link and tell forward, I'll tell you, don't send me those links because I will not click it. So
True.
by seeing the link, I knew that this was something suspicious. I just deleted it
Okay.
straight away.
Yeah.
So this is how phishing attacks occur. It's called phishing. Like they try to get to you psychologically, and once you click those links, like it's usually a malware that will give them access to your system.
Yeah. Luckily, I've
So
never been attacked. I've gotten those links a lot, especially on Instagram. But
yeah,
usually I just reply, but like I am not pressing that. Like, I've seen a lot of my family members and friends get hacked all the time, especially on Instagram. There's like a lot of it that's happening. But I'm actually
yes,
very good at being aware of not clicking on any link, even like on a package. When I have usually most of the time a package that's supposed to be delivered for me, I always tell
mm,
my wife, "Do you recognize this?" Because I live in Sweden, so certain things I don't understand if it's like
yeah,
a known company that's sending me to receive a package or something. Because sometimes some random one will send you spams on your email, and just you might mistakenly click it. So that's something I'm very aware of. But when it comes to
yes,
hackers, like what is their agenda? Like what goes through their mind, especially when you're having this psychological way of dealing with them, you know
mm,
having to create all this assessment to know how they think and how they work. Like
yeah.
why do they do what they do? Is it for money gain or is it for something else, you know?
Yeah, some do it for money gain, but
Mhm.
again, others do it just to show you that they're on top of the game, just to ruin your reputation. So
Okay.
sometimes they can do it for political reasons, where your fellow nation state who is
Hmm.
an adversary to your country trying to try to get access to your critical infrastructure, hijack it and deny you access just to show you that like it's more like a cyber warfare sometimes,
Hmm.
just to show you that they are on top of you or they are ahead of you when it comes to technology. And some do it to create chaos in the public to cause conflict. you
Yeah.
know for instance, if a central bank is attacked, and it gets to the public, everyone will start panicking because this is one of the critical infrastructure that
Hmm.
hosts different financial institutions.
Of course.
Yeah, sometimes they can hack, like, if I want to mention the critical infrastructures, it involves the energy sector, it involves the hospital,
Of
it
course.
involves the financial institution.
Hmm.
So let's say, like our NAWEC, right? National
Hmm.
Water Electricity Company. This can be hacked, like the system that will supply water to houses or electricity to the meters could
Hmm.
be hacked to deny citizens from their basic needs, right? To deny them from electricity, to deny them from water, or to make it supply more of what is needed,
Yeah.
or to extort money. So all of this can be done
Yeah.
on political reasons.
Yeah. Honestly, the last part you said there, it might be a serious thing, but I'm surprised no one has tried to do that and actually give people more electricity, because it is terrible with Novak. I don't, the Novak jokes on Twitter is hilarious. People are always attacking Novak, even if it's not cyber attack, but it's just bullying them all the time.
Yeah,
But
some
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, some can do it just to sabotage, just to undermine the
Hmm.
government sometimes.
Yeah.
Even nowadays, we live in a world with the rapid evolvement of Internet of Medical Things.
Yeah.
nowadays. All our medical activities do use medical
Mhm.
devices that use IoT, Internet of Things.
Mhm.
So attackers are now targeting hospitals because they know how health is important, right?
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
attacking devices like MRI. And so, for instance, a device could be attacked instead of it like supplying, like, let's say the insulin, maybe it
Yeah.
has to supply to a diabetic patient. So
Yeah.
instead of it supplying the required volume, an attacker could hijack it and change the amount of volume that should be supplied to the patient, which can cause death.
Wow. This sounds like something from a movie. You know,
Yes, it's happening.
yeah, it sounds like something from a movie because, think of it when the first time I remember even having any knowledge about cybersecurity and like hackers and all these things is actually from watching, like when I was young, watching spy movies and, all these things, and they're hacking each other. You see two people sitting in two different places and just getting back and forth. And it seemed like something so terrifying that two people can sit in two different completely places and can just change your whole life and just hurt you without even touching you. So that's something very
Yes,
scary. That's
it
scary, and it
is
seemed like that
scary.
is really
And
what's happening. Yeah.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
and like now, what is happening is they will attack this hospital, they will hijack their critical systems, and they will demand for ransom. So if the
Mm-hmm.
hospital is scared because how sensitive patient's information is,
Mm-hmm.
or how it could cause implication to the patient's health, they will be scared to pay the ransom. And once you pay the ransom, they will put you in a vicious cycle. They will come back.
Mm-hmm.
You keep paying, and sometimes they will even sell your data to other fellow hackers. And those people will also come. Oh, we have access to this data, blah
Mm-hmm.
blah blah. If you don't pay us in 24
Yeah.
hours, this will happen.
Is
So
that
this is
is
why it is advisable when you face such attacks, you don't have to pay. You just need to contact the security sector straight away. Just report to
mhm.
the nearest police, and they will deal with the investigation.
Is that what you call ransomware?
Yes, it's called ransomware attack, where the
So
attacker will attack
yeah.
and request for ransom.
Yeah.
And what they do when they attack your system, they will
Mm-hmm.
encrypt your files and deny you access.
Okay.
So if you
Okay.
don't pay the ransom, they will
Mm-hmm.
not give you access, and they'll publish the information on the dark web. And what happens is if they publish it before you let, because of the general data protection regulation
Mm-hmm.
require that if any data is breached, you need to let the owner of the data know. So if they
Okay.
get to the public before you, it's gonna cause chaos. People will be panicking. Oh,
So
my
they
data
will
is
let you
being used.
know before they put it. Why do they do that?
Sorry, what did you mean
I,
the hacker?
yeah, the hacker. So if he has your data, he has to let you know like that they have your data before they put it
Yes,
in public. Why do they have to
yes,
do that?
because they want you to pay the money. They are
Okay.
causing
Okay.
you. They want to scare you so that you can
Mm-hmm.
pay the money that they require. So in
Yeah.
such case, you need to stand on top of your feet and
Mm-hmm.
take the right action. Involve the necessary authorities, involve those who are affected whilst dealing with the attack. So it is important.
Now,
So sometimes they will get to the public before you, and
yeah,
once it gets to the public, even the public can sue you for that.
the reason why I brought it up is because just to understand like our vulnerability that we have, for example, in the Gambia, right? Because you're
Yes,
you're a cybersecurity expert, but you're from the Gambia, and we deal. I'm sure we're dealing with a lot of them, even if they're confidential. People are not bringing them into the
yes,
public. Like for
yes,
example, in the Western world, you hear a lot about cyber hackers, cyber warfare that's
yes,
happening. But in the Gambia,
yes.
we don't know about this. It doesn't come in the news. It's not coming anywhere, and I'm sure like has it even happened to the government maybe that we don't even know. So I guess that's the reason why I'm asking.
I'll ask you. Yeah, of course, of course. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, we are vulnerable. We are very, very vulnerable, and
Mm-hmm.
it's because not that you don't hear it. That doesn't mean that it doesn't happen. It does happen, but
Yeah.
sometimes, in order to protect the security of the
Mm-hmm.
country, it is important to protect it. Sometimes it's for
Yeah.
security reasons to
Yeah.
prevent chaos from the public, or to prevent sabotage, or to prevent someone from using it against you. This is why
Mm-hmm.
it is take
Mm-hmm.
such things are being protected. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's like in information security, there are different layers of securing information. You
Mm.
have the top secret, you have the secret, you have the confidential, There are
Yeah,
some
sure.
information that are top secret. They should not be
That
revealed.
should not be shared.
That is
Yeah.
for the best interest of its citizen, of
That's
its
true.
citizens.
That's true.
So yeah,
You were talking about protecting ourselves, especially even with our phones, especially with kids nowadays having so much access to technology. And there's always this debate for me before with people that having Android and having iOS. Because smartphones are something now that is part of our life. It's almost like a real, actual part of us. Like nobody wakes up we wake up every morning. We're on social media, right? And I'm sure
yeah,
most of us are so vulnerable. So what is the difference between the iOS and the Android? Like how easy it is for
yeah.
a hacker to get into one of them, or which one is more difficult to access?
Okay, for the iOS is a closed source, that
Mm,
one is more secured than the Android. The Android uses open source, although people have their different opinions based
mm,
on different reasons. When it comes to the Android, it is more user friendly. This is why
okay.
people like it. But with the iPhone, I
Mm,
mean, it has so many security benefits. For instance, with my iPhone, there was a day I went to Nando's and I bought some food.
mm,
So because you usually scan the QR code on the table to order food, I mean, you need to create an account. So by creating an account, um, the credentials I used was exposed in a data breach.
mm,
So I was notified instantly by my iPhone's security setting that I need to change that password. That if I am using it in other similar websites or in other applications, then that a password has been exposed to attackers and the other applications that I have used it. It could be risks of it being
yeah.
accessed.
Mm,
Yes. So this is why iPhone is more secure than
okay.
Android. Although Android has its own security features,
Mm,
but I think, to my own opinion and based on my own research,
yeah.
the iOS is better because
Mm,
every like Kings keeps updating. There are patches you know, to different vulnerabilities.
yeah.
And all the time you need to update your iOS to the latest because the thing about updating is not about getting it's not about the usability. But
Okay.
most of the things is about you securing your digital device. It's about them finding a loophole on a particular system which needs updating, which needs patching. I can tell you that there is no 100% security when it comes to using electronic devices.
Mm. So we
Yes,
should go
no
back to
100%
Nokia
security.
phones then.
Yes, so you need to, the idea is to keep the risks to the barest minimum. This
Okay.
is why we need to update ourselves. We need to
Yeah.
patch, whenever there is security update, we don't have to take the risks. Even when you're using your computers, like your office
Mm,
applications, your Windows systems. Like this is only common in the Gambia. Most people
yeah.
don't buy the Windows license. They will rather get the crack version. And
Yeah.
people don't know that these crack versions are made by hackers themselves just to get access to your system.
Okay.
There is nothing
Yeah.
like economists will say there is no free lunch.
Yeah.
Okay. They will make they will make a replicate of the
Mm,
Windows and they'll tell you, oh, I've cracked this, use this code to get access. No, you're putting yourself at risk. You need to get the
yeah.
licensed operating system. You need to update the operating system. If you go to
Yeah.
many institutions, you will see that even the computers they're using, the Windows is not activated. It needs to be activated. Technology is money. You need to keep investing to be
Yourself.
able
Yeah.
to safeguard yourself.
That's true.
So this is also a problem, and I think education is also needed. Awareness
Mm.
is needed because people don't know.
How much do you are you very strict with your family, for example, with how they deal with this their security on their phones? Are you always on
Well,
them also?
yes, I do warn them, and I provide awareness. Even my dad always reach out to me when he sees anything concern, like when anything is of his concern, he always reach out to me. And
Mm,
if he has to, sometimes he will even contact me to ask for his password because I made him passwords that he doesn't remember. So he will ask
mm.
me. So I have a special storage where I keep all these passwords. In case he forget, he
Wow.
will just reach out to me. So yes, I always educate them. I've got two of my siblings who were victims of their WhatsApp being hacked because they are currently in Turkey. That
Mm,
is where they live. So what happened was they will send you a link, a
Mm-hmm.
message, and I don't know what the information was, but once you click the link, they will hijack your WhatsApp and you will not have access anymore. And they'll be using it to trick your friends, sending them
Yeah.
messages so that they can access to others. And once you manage to call them, they will ask for ransom.
Yeah.
Yes, so
Mm.
they, as a result, they have to change their numbers to the new numbers, and they have to reset their phones. I have to make sure that they download some antiviruses, like licensed antiviruses, that
Yes.
help them to clear the phone, because there may be some potential malware that will be spying on them. So
That's true.
it is
That's true.
important to
Honestly, like I'm also so bad, but like on my phone I try to have a lot of different passwords, because for the phone is very it's like a part of me, so that you need to protect. But my computer is something like I only use my computer when I'm editing a podcast or I'm using it right now to talk. But apart from
oh,
that, I don't really do a lot, so I really
yeah,
need to try and put more effort into getting, because before also I used to watch a lot of films and stuff in these different websites, and it's always
yes,
you see messages but you just ignore them. And I've never been hacked, but it always tells you most of the time that like the website you're getting into is not safe.
it's not
And
safe.
I usually just click ignore because I'm like, what if somebody attack, what are they gonna find? But
Of
you
course,
always
they
try
will
to
find.
be, yeah,
They will find. There must be something that they will find that will be of interest to them and that
mm,
they can use to manipulate you, because sometimes they
yeah,
try to get to your psychology. And
that's
you were
true.
saying that you don't usually turn off your computer.
No, I
If
don't
a
do that.
hidden if a hidden spyware is installed on your computer, it means
Mm,
that you are being monitored without your knowledge. Because when someone is monitoring your system,
mm,
the moment you turn it off, it means that it's disconnected to the network. And once it's disconnected to the network, then
mm.
they will not have access from that instance that you switch the computer off. So, which is why it is important, even before switching your computer off, for you to
Mm.
disconnect your network. Disconnect
Okay.
it,
Like
then
the
switch it
Wi-Fi.
off.
Yeah.
Yes, it is
Wow.
important.
But
Yeah.
but do you think we're like, even disconnecting, are we not still being monitored somehow? Like just with our cameras? I'm not a big on conspiracy theories, but
Yeah.
there's just this a lot of things about watching us, and I've always, you know, paying attention into like things that, for example, that happen, especially in America, with the NSA and Snowden and all these big things that happened before, and you just scared at the government. You know what I mean? Like we lie to our own kids. Like what is why won't the government lie to us if they're doing something and we don't know about it? You know what I
I
mean?
know.
Like, what's your take on that?
Well, I will agree with you that we're being monitored in one way or the other, especially the social media
Mm,
applications that we use. Like sometimes you will discuss something on WhatsApp. The next minute you go to Facebook, you will see some pop-up ads on it. For
yeah.
instance, you buy something, you talk about it to someone, you will just see some advertisement. Like there's something called data analytics. I think because these applications are being synchronized, they
Mhm.
use the data to predict um, like to predict your needs, like what you want.
Yeah.
And according to the agenda, it is to predict, this data analytics aims to predict you more than even your spouse, you know?
Mm,
So this is why, and sometimes we agree because like, especially the garment culture, we don't like reading. So the privacy terms,
yeah.
terms and condition,
Hmm.
we just accept without reading it.
I read the TikTok one. I read it. That's why, and it's so strange. I have a TikTok. I only post Quranic videos there, but
Russia.
I don't use it to scroll. And I think it's because I read it and it got me scared. And I told my wife about it, and she doesn't seem very bothered about it. But I was like, they can track my like the keyboard prints of the things that I'm typing and searching. I'm accepting to that. Like, isn't that very weird? And isn't that very strange that somebody has that access on my phone?
Yes,
It's
it's very weird.
crazy.
And I think, was it 2 years ago, WhatsApp tried to change their terms and condition that
Mhm.
if you accept the new update, I think they will have access to monitor. I forgot what the terms and condition
Yeah,
was,
yeah,
but this
hmm,
created a panic, and it was only countries that were not using the GDPR. You know, by the way, the
Mm.
GDPR means the General Data Protection Regulation that was implemented by the EU within the Europe and the European country, which is used for
Yeah.
data protection. So I think this update was not about how they use their data, but they wanted, to access something. I forgot. I'm not
I
able to
don't trust
remember,
Facebook. I don't
but
trust
I
like that
remember,
company.
like,
Yeah. Hmm.
exactly. I was in the UK and I didn't have that update on my UK number, but I had it on my Gambian because I have both
Hmm.
Gambian WhatsApp and UK WhatsApp. So because of the EU regulation, the
Yeah.
GDPR, people in the European countries didn't receive this alert. But it was only
Mm.
people without this data protection that received the alert, which is why it is important for every country to implement data
Yeah.
protection legislation. Some cyber laws should be put in place,
Yeah.
you know.
So like how do you think in Gambia we need to encourage people, especially the young people, to venture more into the cybersecurity and to kind of make the government be more aware of it, especially in the educational sectors, so we
Yeah.
can put this out and have like put it in a curriculum, for example, because there's a lot of
Yeah.
other things that are put in there, and we are part of this new tech world now, and it's like you said, it's the future. It's part of us. It's
Yes.
anywhere you go now. There's a computer, there's a telephone, everyone's house.
Yes.
And it's more danger to us. So how can we go about, putting this into work?
So the first recommendation I will give is to prioritize cybersecurity capacity building at the national budgetary level. It is important for all organizations
Mm-hmm.
to train their staffs periodically, not one-time training,
Mm-hmm.
but at least there should be a law that
Mm-hmm.
will train staffs on cybersecurity awareness training for at least every 3 months. Such
Yeah.
things are being implemented in the UK. Like if you work for certain organizations, you must take some cybersecurity awareness course. Even if you are a cybersecurity professional, they try to test your level of understanding to see how best you are being cautious. So it is
Okay.
important to provide capacity building trainings for government staffs, private institutions, and all employees,
Mm-hmm.
aside from integrating it as a curriculum at the basic secondary level, you know. And
Yeah.
and I think because there are I don't want to say this word, but there are misplacement of priorities. I
Mm.
mean, people
Yeah.
think that it is not needed, so they don't prioritize it. They will rather put budgets on other, things that are not needed. I mean, technology is expensive, but you will
Mm.
rather invest on technology that will secure you
Mm.
than leave yourself vulnerable only to be hacked and being asked a ransom of that will double or triple the
True.
amount of money you were supposed to put to protect yourself.
Yeah. Now I know
So
you are also a very advocate of women going into STEM, and like how is it going with that? It's like are you part of something? Are you talking about it on your social media, or have you been
yes,
dealing with any other organization to push this more?
yes. So I'm currently I joined the Women in STEM Gambia, which was founded last year. But
Mhm.
prior to that, I've joined the Mozilla Club of Hackathon Girls, which was founded by Juma. So this try to target women where we train young girls at the age of 8 to 18 years on web literacy and how best to safeguard themselves and how they can pursue a career in tech, giving them the right guides. I started this in 2016 during my undergrad.
Mhm.
And through that also, we were the first organization that organized the first Django Girls programming workshop. So the Django Girls programming workshop was like a hackathon where girls were invited to apply and then shortlisted, and we trained them on Django
Mhm.
programming. How to build a fully functional website using Django. This is just to give them the motivation, and
Mhm.
this was a success to an extent that it was even broadcasted at
Mhm.
the national TV. So aside from that, I also helped co-founded we had this Gambian Women in Science and Technology where we were also doing some community outreach, going to sensitize women, especially in the remote areas, telling them
Mhm.
about technology because accessibility is important, but there is
True.
no digital inclusion in the Gambia, most remote
Yeah.
areas, schools in remote areas, they don't have access to technology courses because they don't have computers. So we usually organize such, go there, talk to them and
Yeah.
tell them the career
Yeah.
perspectives that that exist. And currently, I'm working with WeSTEM, Women in STEM Gambia. We help to
Yeah.
provide women,
Yeah.
to how they can pursue STEM careers. We also have chapters in different schools, like different high schools, and we do
Okay.
engage our chapter members on providing them the relevant knowledge. So yes, I've been doing
Yeah.
this advocacy for more than 5 years now. And when I came to the UK, when I was studying at Warwick University, I joined the Warwick Women Cybersecurity chapter,
Hmm.
where
No.
I
Why?
also participate.
What? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you. But what? Why do you think women need to be more in STEM? And not that I have an issue with it, but there's a lot of most of the field, especially in STEM, when it's male dominated, you see most of the time because I read somewhere that a lot of women also are backing from STEM after studying it for 5 years because maybe the difficulty or the workload and all these things. Are you preparing for them? Preparing these things for them also to be able to have that drive, that passion to keep going for the longest
Yes,
time, because of course men and women are not are different. We're equal,
yes,
but in we're still different in certain parts, you know what I mean? So how are
yes.
you going about helping them to push through, because there's a lot of sacrifice that comes with it, there's a lot of challenges that come with it. Yeah.
Yes, you are right. There is a
Mm,
lot of challenges. I agree with you. And it is important, like the women in STEM advocacy is about helping them to have this resilience, to have
mm-hmm,
this determination, the perseverance to be able to do it. Because you are right, a lot of them
mm-hmm,
back off along the way because it requires time. And
mm-hmm.
sometimes our cultural stereotypes do limit us. Like growing up, I wouldn't have been able to get to where I am if my parents were not open minded, if
Yeah.
they didn't know the value of education. But I have faced discrimination from the society telling me, oh, no matter how educated you are, you will end up in a man's house, or your education will end in the kitchen, or you are a woman,
What the
jigéen da
hell?
ngaa gàtt tànka. They'll tell you, jigéen da ngaa gàtt tànka. You will get married one day. Because like me, I told you I used to be very focused from school, data. From data, I used the weekends for
Mm,
my civil society engagement. So I was never home. The only
yeah.
time I am home is on Sunday.
Mm-hmm,
So it is important for
mm-hmm,
women to be in STEM because
mm-hmm,
most of the challenges, like when it
mm-hmm.
comes to technology, especially when it comes to cybersecurity, most of the cyber crimes affect women. Many
True.
women are becoming victims of sextortion because of our cultural norms. You are scared that, if someone was with you, maybe it's a revenge porn from your partner and you fall a victim of sending your nude. The next minute is they'll be blackmailing you, traumatizing you, and you're scared of what the society will say. So it is important to educate this woman on how to safeguard themselves and what to do if such things arise. A lot of women are victims of cyberbullying. Women are not even allowed to come and say their opinion or to come and, like, they're being bullied or discriminated because of their resilience and because of the stereotype and the patriarchy
Mm,
system thinking that women should be behind,
yeah.
behind men.
Mm,
So these are the things that lead women to being to back off or to give
yeah.
up. But it's important to provide them this motivation
Yeah.
and this education on helping
Yeah.
them to
I think
keep,
it's important. It,
yes,
it
up.
happens a lot in our culture, especially when you go to Instagram. You go to these pages like Gambian Shade Room and all these things, and you see all the time
Yeah.
someone's information has been leaked or someone is having issue here, or you hear, like even my sister sometimes they come like, oh, this person's picture was leaked, and most of the time you hear is just women, and it's such a
Yes.
sad thing that these pictures are always being passed around and
Yeah.
shared in different places, and it's very embarrassing. So I understand that aspect of having just to even have the basic knowledge of knowing how to protect yourself and how to have your
Yes.
privacy, but
Yeah.
when it comes to that patriarchy part, I think it gets to a certain point where I'm all for women getting into careers
Mm,
that the male have and getting it, because we are equal. For me, even though I'm talking in a more Islamic perspective, that we are equal, but especially in the face of God, we are equal. Even
yeah.
though we have privileges, but we have matriarchy also. So
Yes.
sometimes we just forget our God-given privileges and we follow the
Yes.
society's we follow what the society say, which is that social justice and all that. And I think we
Yes.
should just find the balance, even if for the man, because the man has some sort of a privilege, but also not better than the woman. The
Mm.
woman too has a certain privilege in front of God, but not better than the man. So if we understand how to just respect each other where we're supposed to be, I
Yeah.
think then there won't be, it shouldn't be a competition. It should be more
Yes.
compulsory between a
Yeah.
man and a woman. But society, that is true that nowadays men are oppressing women, using them, trying to put them down. And I think that's disgusting,
Yes.
especially to speak for, I'm speaking in the name of Islam, for example. But
Yes. Mm.
a lot of cultures and a lot of countries are not using Islamic voices, so they don't really care about that. But I think they should
So
have that type of knowledge and then find the balance on dealing with things like, okay, you're having a family, but being able to
yeah.
still work and being able to
Yes.
still and I think, for example, in cybersecurity, I'm sure you have the access of being home sometimes and work, which is something very
Yes.
flexible,
Very
even
flexible.
because
Mm.
that's even what I would want, to be home and work so
Yeah.
I can still have time to
Exactly.
spend time with my family
With your
and not
kids.
be out all the time. Yeah, I hope you know what
Yes.
I'm trying to say.
Yes. I think the problem is
Yeah.
people mix culture with religion. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, people are ignorant about the religion. They will just hear something and then they'll be like, oh, woman, you are denied right this. You don't
Mm-hmm.
have the right to do that. I used to get that a lot. Oh, at the end you will get married. People used to tell my dad, why are you investing so much on your daughter? At the end, she will leave you and get married. But if we look at during the time of the Prophet, radiallahu, you
Sallallahu alaihi
realize that
wasallam. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
yeah, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So you realize that Khadija radiallahu anhu was a businesswoman.
Mm-hmm.
Aisha radiallahu was a teacher. So there were women who were engaged. Like these
Mm-hmm.
women are women leaders. They were not denied the opportunities that
No.
just like how we're doing it now.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to Saudi Arabia for an umrah in
Mashallah.
February. No, sorry, in March. And when I get to the airport, my first impression was all the immigration like were women wearing their niqab,
Yeah.
you know. I'm like, wow, this is interesting. And if you walk into offices, you will see women.
Yeah. People
I'm
don't
like,
know that in the
okay,
Western world.
yes,
you
they
know,
don't know.
I lived there for 7 years, so I know. I lived in Saudi Arabia for 7 years. I was studying there. I lived in Riyadh, so I know the women are
Like,
working 24/7.
exactly. Like people
Mm.
misrepresent Islam. But not knowing that, I think even the rights of women in Islam are more privileged than even the men. But people
Yeah.
don't know this because we are misguided by our cultural stereotypes.
Mm.
So,
Yeah. It's
I
just the
mean,
lack of using the Islamic law into the, of course, the Western cultures, because they don't have that. But if Islamic law was actually used and in the more in a very understanding and use it and implement it, trust me, we would have a better society. You know.
exactly. And you
Yeah.
know what? Even me, my
Mm.
dad is an Islamic scholar. He's got
Mashallah.
a
Mm.
PhD in Islamic studies and
Mm.
also a PhD in international human rights and law. He trained
Wow.
us like Islamically, you know,
Mm.
by not, trying to dress well according to Islam. Also,
Mm. Yeah.
sometimes it's not easy, but even the
Mm.
education in my house, there were no gender roles. We were given equal opportunities, like right to
Yeah.
be educated, right to be fed, and
Yeah.
all of us do house chores in the house.
Hmm.
No house
Because
chores
yeah.
belongs to
Yeah.
women or men.
Yeah, it should be
So
like that. It should be like that. Even in back in the day of the teachings of the prophet, it was like that. It's just nowadays it's so talked about so much, and women are getting it confused, and men are getting it confused. And now then it becomes almost like a competition when it's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be
when it's
compulsory. You know what I mean? And it's affecting the society a lot and a lot.
and
But
I
yeah.
think I'm not
Mm.
comparing both genders, but I think they said what a man can do, a woman can do. So it's not
Yeah.
about women not being more powerful, but because we are more resilient, we can endure
Yeah.
when it comes to things. Like for
Mm.
instance, like
Mm.
a woman can multitask. They can provide for their homes, take care of their kids at the same time working. Like
Mm-hmm.
it is God that gave us this gift, which is why it is important for women to be involved in decision making, and it is
Mm-hmm.
important to motivate them because I think when it
Yeah.
comes to we are not easily distracted like men, when it comes to these things. I think,
Yeah,
yes,
I think men, when it comes to that resilience, we have it, but not as a woman. Like, because giving birth, like that's such an amazing thing, and that's such a big blessing. So God knows why I didn't give it to a man. So, I think it's just a lot of other things when it comes to maybe emotional part of it, and a lot of
yes,
certain things. It's hard,
yes,
and
yes,
because women can tend to be a little bit more emotional than men. So most of the
yes,
time,
yes,
yeah. So I think that's just
exactly.
yeah.
And you see, like the saying that goes that say, if you want to if you want to bring a king down, like use a woman, like because
And
we have that powers,
yeah, yeah, a lot of
to
kings.
manipulate men. So
Yeah. Oh
this
yeah.
is why when we are allowed to use our powers the right way, we
Mm,
get success in it.
mm,
So this is why,
yeah.
hence,
Mm,
STEM is currently the present and the
mm,
future. It is important for women to be
mm,
involved.
yeah.
You know.
No, I will want to, to let you go very soon, but I want to just talk about that part where you had the summit, in the One Young World Summit, because you mentioned that you met all these, big world leaders and these big politicians,
Yes.
and I think you guys were taught be able to have, you in private, you get to talk about certain things that you want to address that's going on in our society, in our nation. Would you care
Yes.
to share what is it that you shared, and what is it that you address?
Yes. So okay. So the summit composed of 2,200 delegates from
Mm-hmm.
190 countries.
Mm-hmm.
So as we were ending the summit, they go through our profile and they
Mm-hmm.
selected the best 11 young leaders to meet
Okay.
up with the former president of Colombia and the former prime minister of Ireland. So the
Mm-hmm.
reason was for this meetup is because now there is an interaction council
Mm-hmm.
that is responsible for challenging world leaders in global threats,
Yeah.
in addressing global existential threats. But because they don't have the participation of youth,
Mm-hmm.
now they decided to choose these young leaders so that we can also be part of the decision makers. We can also
Okay.
challenge world
Mm-hmm.
leaders when it comes to these general meetings. And also we can help address global existential threats like climate emergencies, because nowadays climate change is affecting everyone. And
Mm-hmm.
also to integrate technology, on addressing this climate change, addressing
Mm-hmm.
illegal migration, these refugees and inequalities.
Yeah.
So I guess I was chosen for the fact that I've been like I've had I've been in my career for quite a while and I've achieved a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So now the responsibility is for me to use my cybersecurity skills so that I
Mm-hmm.
can help advise these world leaders on how best we can protect
Mm-hmm.
our critical infrastructures from this
Mm-hmm.
cyber warfare. Another aspect that I will be included is using technology to
Mm-hmm.
address, especially AI. We nowadays
Yeah.
AI is
Mm-hmm.
really trending. So
Yeah.
we keep on integrating AI to address climate emergencies. So this was
Mm-hmm.
basically why the Global Youth Council was set up, which I am fortunate to be part of.
Mm-hmm.
So we're yet to have our first meeting, but we are
Yeah.
having that by, they said, before Christmas. And
Okay.
then we will have the opportunity, whenever there is these meetings, we will have the opportunity to attend and give our contribution. And
Mm-hmm.
because we know the problems that are faced by youth more than any other. Um,
Yeah.
so it is important for them to include us so that we can
It is.
give,
Yeah.
provide youths with opportunities and incentives, because when it comes to unemployment rate, it is higher in the youths than the old age.
Yeah.
So this is why this was really set up. And I'm
Yeah.
grateful,
Mm-hmm.
to be part of it,
Yeah.
because it was not something that I really expected, but
True. But
hard work
how?
speaks for itself.
Of course, and I'm
Yeah.
I'm 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 very impressed. I'm very impressed, and I'm inspired a lot, because
Thank
even talking to you got me thinking. For the last couple of days, I've been doing a lot of research because I'm having a hard time to figure out when I get the opportunity to go to school, because I'm trying to really figure out how to get a degree. I have to go through the studying Swedish first, and then I'll have opportunity to
you.
study because his education is free in Sweden. And I'm thinking where to go, and I'm thinking a lot about getting into computer science and really try to put my effort in and get into something. And cybersecurity might be an option. So you never know.
Yes.
But overall, because of you guys, like you said, dealing with climate change, probably pandemics also, right? How does your job as a cybersecurity expert intersect with that? Because when it comes to there's a lot of rumors about pandemics, planned pandemics, and all these things. How,
Exactly.
as a professional in the cyber world, does it work? Does it intersect with your job to see these things coming?
So with the rapid evolution of technology, like the plan is to use these IoT devices, maybe
Mm-hmm.
to predict the type of soil that are being
Okay.
used, what to plant, and the things that are detrimental to the environment. So as a
Mm-hmm.
cybersecurity professional, my role is to protect these things, these devices.
Okay.
Like,
Okay.
in order for it to address these problems, my role is to implement some security mechanisms that will prevent someone from sabotaging it to do something else that may cause
Oh.
climate crisis. So this
Okay.
is
Okay.
where my role comes in.
That's impressive. That's
Yeah.
impressive. And AI, of course, you talked about is getting a lot of crazy. Do you think hackers are using artificial intelligence now maybe to get into system? Because
Of
AI
course,
is very
yes.
intelligent, and
Yes.
I don't know
So
how intelligent it's gonna be, and it's kind of scary.
so the saddest thing is these attackers are using this AI to intrude on our devices. And
Wow.
if you're not using AI automated security systems, you as a person will not be able to see or to know what is happening on the background, because they have this what's the word again? They have these evading techniques. They use AI tools with evading techniques to an
Mhm.
extent that they can infiltrate your system, access your data, steal your data, and do whatever they want to do without being detected. Even these normal security systems are not able to detect it, because they
Wow.
use a machine that is more intelligent than what you're using. So how do
And
you counter that?
yeah, yeah.
By using
It's
AI automated
yeah.
security systems, like
Mm,
some intrusion detection systems should be implemented
mm.
that are of AI to be able to counter such.
Yeah. But do,
Yeah.
do you think in the future, like, because I'm sure most of the time you have to sit on the computer and create all these things, but in the future, if AI's computers get so smart, maybe just for a click of a button, the AI would do everything. Like, how would you have to deal with that as a professional, or are you guys are the one going to be even designing these algorithms or these things to make sure that the AI knows what they're supposed to do to protect you guys
Yes. So
from all
so
these
these
attacks?
AI algorithms are developed by humans. And
Mm,
like
mm,
I said earlier, as technology evolve, we also evolve. We keep ourselves up to date. It's about self-learning. It's about
mm,
adapting to whatever trend it is.
mm,
So in such instances, like being a cybersecurity professional,
mm,
my area will be focusing on using AI,
mm,
to protect these systems, how we can use the algorithms
mm,
to build a fully functional secured systems that will
mm.
counter such activities. So it's
Yeah,
about keeping yourself up to date. It's about learning, and yeah.
yeah,
So which is why it requires a lot of strength. It requires you to be passionate and
mm,
to be determined, because it really takes time, like I said.
yeah. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Now I'm gonna just ask my final question here, which I've just written down. And as a role model, what advice do you have for young individuals, especially girls who aspire
Yeah.
to follow in your footsteps?
Okay, so my advice is for girls is to follow their dreams. Like, let them not allow to be distracted. With passion and perseverance,
Mm,
dreams do come true. I planned my life accordingly, and although we plan and Allah plans, and He is the best planners, but Alhamdulillah, Allah was able to help me too, because I think I used to tell myself, when I have 24, I want to get my undergrad. When I am 26, I want to get my master's. And Alhamdulillah, Allah made me to achieve all these things. And, through my undergrad too, I've always been a leader. We are not limited. I came to the university. I realized that students were struggling with programming and were dropping off the course. and there was no computer science association because it was a newly established university. As a female,
Mm.
I took up the initiative and established the computer science association where I was appointed as the first president. And I make sure that I collaborated with tech companies to bring their programmers on board to help us with some programming tutorials, which has helped the student. So the
Yeah.
thing is about you believing in yourself. Like, I am the person that my mom will say, Fatou Lumata Dogrek. If I want something, I go in for it, irrespective of, even if it is unpopular decision, even if no one is with me. As far as that's what my heart wants, I always go in for it. So this is the advice I will give
Mm.
for women. I mean, it's not
Mm.
easy. You get a lot of discrimination, you get a lot of obstacles, you get a lot of
Yeah.
societal pressures, but the bottom line is just to ignore and follow what your heart wants.
That's true. That's beautiful. I think everyone should do that. But
Yeah.
like most of the important thing you say, have God with you. I think if you have God
Yes.
with you,
Yes,
you can go anywhere. Yeah.
It is important to pray. It is important. It involves a lot of prayer because this journey is not easy. You have psychological warfare, you have spiritual warfare. There are a lot of evil things involved. But it is prayers and
That's
God
true.
that help to guide you. As I said, He is the best planners. So it is important, whatever you are engaging in, whatever you're doing, always pray. Never forget your prayers.
That's
This
true.
is really
That's true.
important. Yeah.
Fatou, this was amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You answered that so beautifully. Yeah.
Thank you.
I really appreciate you. You're a very inspiring individual. You're very smart, and you're gonna go very, very far. And I can't wait. Hopefully, in the future, to do this podcast again, part 2 for sure. So you can keep me on trends on things,
Yes.
things that are happening in the cyber world. Yeah.
No problem. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here because, like, you having this platform will also inspire other, youths, at least. I mean, I commend you for that. So thank you for having me. And I think this should be doing often because we have so many potential Gambians out there doing wonders, breaking barriers. So it is important. And in future, I would also recommend you to people that I know that are already doing amazing things so that you can
Yeah.
also invite them.
Yeah, definitely. I'm always looking for people. If you have some people that always you can just give me a text and then I'll look into them and definitely talk to them. I'm open to talk to anybody. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm glad you enjoy it.
Yes, I did enjoy it, and I hope I didn't disappoint you. Like I said,
No,
I have
what?
anxiety,
No, this was amazing. And you didn't even need the headphones in the end. You see, we were waiting for headphones for 1 hour.
I'm sure I got the text, but
yeah, but we were very into the conversation, and that's what I like. That's what I like.
Go and collect it, but yeah, I hope you are able to edit the noise and.
Yeah, I'm sure it's gonna be fine.
Smooth.
The only thing I'm gonna probably have to deal with because my daughter has been standing on the door and knocking and calling me for the last 30 minutes. Yeah, I have a young daughter.
Bless her. You
Yeah,
should bring her near you. She needs to see what daddy is doing so that she'll be inspired.
Yeah, definitely. Well,
That's
with
right.
people like you, she's gonna be watching this in the future and she's gonna be inspired. And that's the reason why I'm doing this because I want to inspire her. So she see people like you, she's gonna, the future is bright. There's hope.
I'm also inspired by you because knowing the fact that you did Quranic studies, like you said, but that didn't stop you. You went out there, you're doing things. I mean, and to that extent that you're even thinking of pursuing your career in tech. I mean, which is very, very good. I would advise all parents to, before they put their kids to this normal education system, it is important to have this Quranic education first because it opens your brain to things. Like my dad was able to create a balance, I am not Hafiz of the Quran, but I can read the whole Quran by myself without being guided. So this is also important. The deen is part of our life.
It
you
is.
know.
It
Although
is.
sometimes, no one is perfect.
Yeah.
But we pray for Allah to guide us all.
I mean. Fatou, thank you so much.
Thank you, and have a nice day. Extend my regards to wifey and your daughter.
All right, I will. All right, I will. Thank you, and everyone, goodbye.